So I looked at StreamYard and I said, you know, it's really cool that you have a new like insert intro and outro video option. And I would love to put my intro and outro video there if I had one.
I'm missing my bottle.
I think I know where it went.
Oh, oh, oh.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first day of October, also known as the first day of Josh doesn't have to make himself say sober anymore because Sober September is over.
You ready? Here it is. It's fresh bottle. Oh.
It'd be funny if it was like the quietest crack ever.
Like mother sweet holy water.
But as we welcome Josh back to the world of being able to enjoy adult beverages, we'd also like to welcome you all back to another episode of the Black Tower Podcast.
And we have more shoddy. Did you already pour something?
Funnily enough, was tentatively scheduled to be on this episode for a different reason, but we never confirmed it with you because I kept forgetting. Which is what I also messaged you on Discord about earlier today, being like, hey, we actually need to confirm a date for this in the future.
The date is today.
Worked out.
The time is now.
The date can still be today, but the topic is different. Anyway, we are the Black Tower Podcast, a Wheel of Time podcast. I am one of your hosts. My name is Andrew, if you believe what the tabloids tell you. I'm your Bijan Mahale. And I am joined by your about to get turned the fuck up Mahale. Because his tolerance is probably a little lower than he's used to after a month of sobriety. That's your cue to say hi. Oh yeah, wait, no, he's in Nirvana for a moment. It's like my taste buds are being kissed by a million angels.
The flavors are melting in my tongue.
It's like instead of sitting on his lap, men came and sat right on my taste buds.
That's right. The sexy lamp is sitting on my taste buds.
They went chasing the angel share and they gave it back.
Hello, my name is
Josh.
Lad,
have you ever licked an angel? Would you like
to? I am a recovering sober person. For those of you who were following along, I did Sober September. It was 30 days of hell, sobriety. And now I'm back. Guess who's back? Back again. Solarvon's back. Phone a friend.
You know,
Sorovan, Mahale, Sorovan, Mahale.
You should do it in February.
What?
You should do it in February. Like fully sober February. Then it's only 28 days.
Or like a leap year. No, non-leap year. Non-leap year.
Yeah,
February.
Leap year why
didn't I do sober February? That was
because
dumb.
You're a good man.
At least I picked because I wasn't about to do sober October.
No.
Because Halloween cocktails and the Gathering Madness. I am contractually obligated to appear in public with WoT-inspired cocktails.
Indeed.
We're gonna do a cocktails contest, but neither of us can drink because we're doing sober October.
That's right.
Joke's on you, no one wins.
Bring in the stunt livers. And we're also joined tonight by our good friend, the sexy Morshadi. For those of you who don't know, he is the sexiest of all the Morshadis.
Indeed.
And
also known as the fact checker male.
Also known as the fact checker male, and he's going to make sure that we are correct tonight. Well, he's going to make sure that we come correct.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure that you come correct. Yeah.
Correctly.
Yep.
Hi. Dude, I'm excited. This is going to be great. Andrew actually did some preparation here. He did some work. He put in the work. He put it in the work.
Also known as I Googled pictures, I saved them, and I put them on a Google slide. Don't
downplay.
You know what?
The work you've done.
The work you've done is actually important to this one. You know why? Because what are we talking about tonight?
It's TV show centric.
Before we talk about what we're talking about,
we need the spoilers. We have another thing to talk about first.
We have this thing to talk about.
That's right.
The Gathering Madness. We have announcements.
This is so good.
We have informations for you. In-person ticket sales are done, over, finito, gone. Everyone that can get an in-person ticket has gotten it. So we're going to be freaking slumming it up in the Definitely Not Slums Black Tower Outpost, October 25th, 26th, and 27th.
Dude.
We're starting to do the meal planning, which is already looking super dope. We've made some tentative decisions on that. You can see the schedule on the screen now. And if you're not watching us on YouTube and you're just listening, please head over to blacktowerpod.com and you can click on the Gathering Madness button there and see our schedule. There's a button that'll take you right to the schedule to see everything. If for some reason you can't read the schedule, like maybe you have some visual impairments or you just need some help, by all means, please reach out to us and we'll let you know what all is going on so that you can decide if you want to get yourself a what is still available for purchase, known as a virtual ticket. We're going to live stream as much as we possibly can. The only times we know we're definitely not live streaming from the event are during the Citadel tour with Dr. Michael Livingston. You might have heard of him. He wrote a book, pretty cool book. And he had a snazzy picture that he used to help promote the auction that they just did for a bunch of Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time books and stuff that he had or had signed and had in his area. I may or may not have won 2 things from the auction.
You're literally sitting right here.
It does look like an 80s skate night at high school poster, kind of, now that you mention it.
Wow.
I mean, that's not bad. Like, that's nostalgic for me. Well, not 80s, but
let's pull it up.
Anyway, we're gonna get a Citadel tour with Dr. Michael Livingston, and then we're gonna go hop and have a picnic, and then we're gonna go and get to tour Harriet / Robert Jordan's gardens at the Casa de la Dragon in Charleston, hosted by Maria Simmons. They're all just absolutely lovely, fantastically sweet people.
I'm referring to this year's Gathering Madness as Wheel of Time Mecca because I think it's something that we've all wanted to do at least once.
Mm-hmm. And OgearCon has done it at least, I think, the last two years.
Yes.
I don't know why I said 2-3 times in an increasing kind of octave, but whatever. But they're not doing it this year, so this was just, I guess, a quinky-dink year for us to do it here. Which, of course, we've said this before, but we did talk to them before we decided to do this in Charleston fully to make sure we weren't stepping on any toes or anything like that. Even though we were here first, not there first. That's why we asked. So, just kind of.
Yeah.
No, and everything's good. So, everything that we live stream and the virtual panels, which there are going to be, and we have topics to announce for those, are only going to be available to those with in-person or virtual tickets. These will not be made live. These will not be live streamed to all of our folks. We're still going to take pictures. We might do some short videos. We might do little things on like TikTok and stuff of that nature, but full form videos, full live streams, virtual panels, all that stuff will remain locked behind ticket holders. So paywall, if you want to call it that, sure. There's microtransactions for the Black Tower podcast now. Have fun.
You've got 75% of the Black Tower. If you want to unlock the rest of the Black Tower,
unlock this season's Battle Pass with 5 billion in-game credits or $30.
The Black Tower podcast is now a live service game.
All right, so virtual panels. So all 3 of these virtual panels are going to be on Saturday. That is the 26th of October. And our very first one, look who's popping in to make sure I'm doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Oh, snap. Hi, Mom.
The event coordinators themselves. I can never get my computer to cooperate with me. Virtual panels. All right, so all times are in Eastern. So from 11 to 12:30 Eastern Standard Time or Eastern Time, whatever, on Saturday, the first virtual panel will be Symptoms and Treatments for the Taint. Do you have the taint? How do you know if you have taint? Have you been tainted? And if you have been tainted, how
Don't tell me
do
what
you
to do.
cleanse
I'm real
yourself
bad.
of the
You call me
taint?
puppy.
The second virtual panel is going to be
Boing,
from
puppy.
2:30 to 4:00. And that was going to be called At the Farm. It's speculation about what life was like at the Black Tower and the things we didn't get to see on the page and what maybe what we'll see on the screen in future seasons. The final virtual panel is going to be from 7:30 to 9:00, again, Eastern. And Roll Swap. What if instead of all of the male channelers going and bunging up sealing the bore, the female channelers went by themselves? So we'll be talking about that, or our virtual panelists will be talking about that. Those will have just friends of ours on, chatting it up for about an hour and a half or so, running the show for an hour and a half or so, and we'll be like moving from one spot to another or something in the background. I think 2 of the panels are going to be taking place during the first one is while we're doing the Citadel tour, and I think the second one will be taking place while we're doing the garden tour with Maria. So while we're doing that fun stuff, you can
Correct.
hop in and listen to some of our friends talk about stuff, and we will announce or reveal who is going to be on what panel later. But there's some other things that we've made decisions on, kind of, that we're supposed to announce. Do you know what they are, Josh?
Do I?
They're
You go back and check my
place where we
notes.
keep all the secrets.
Let me check my notes.
It's going to be like the 4th bullet point in that. There you go.
If
Or Shadi's
you
not
have,
helping and Leah's not shocked.
but again, not shocked. Also, if you have a virtual ticket, you might be going, "Oh, cool. What is that?" Well, virtual tickets will be giving you live access to opening and closing ceremonies, Taste the Taint, and the Watt Tales contest. So these are things that we've always just kind of done openly before, and they will be available on our YouTube like later on down the road. But if you want to watch them as they're happening, if you want to be live with us, this is another benefit of the virtual pass. It's going to be great.
If you have the link, you'll be able to watch them on YouTube later. But if you didn't buy a virtual ticket for this, you will never be able to watch these. There is no current plan for you to be able to watch any of the live stream content. But obviously it may happen. We might release some of it, right before or leading up to next year's Gathering Madness. But for at least roughly a year, you won't be able to.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Sorry. I apologize.
Yeah, no,
as a virtual attendee, thank you for clarifying. Yes, that's what he just said.
Josh is going to have a fun night.
Yeah, boy.
Lucky boy.
What you think?
So while we're doing Taste the Taint, we're also going to do a thing. So generally every year we try to do some kind of Two Rivers-esque themed challenge. We've done the Two River Sniper or archery contest twice now. We did axe throwing for the first Gathering Madness in Utah, in Josh's front yard, and managed not to not to throw an axe into a car.
Morshadi got his first title out there. He got Breaker of Axes.
Yep. I also won.
Yeah, he broke an axe. Right. And won.
Their child always reminds me of that.
That's true.
They won't let it go.
Yeah. And then,
my youngest has to make sure
we did what was it, Althor Fruit Ninja?
Yep, we did Rand Heron Mark challenge, which
by the time you did that, I really should not have been taking part.
You were quite tainted.
I was quite tainted.
It was great.
I did bring over 2 flats of beers.
I remember, and it was great too. because we had a lot of Utah beer, which is a local brewery here. It's really good stuff. And we had a plate of tacos, and it was beer and tacos pretty much all day. It was great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, a good reminder that whenever you have the portable Tainted Tavern, the portable
Oh, that's
BTP
right.
outpost,
The Madman's piece.
Probably want a fan blowing around so it doesn't get too toasted. Anyway,
if I could bring the inflatable with me to Charleston, I so would. Because that would be
not that inflatable.
awesome. Well, I'd have to
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's different.
Yeah.
Apparently, Leia and I are wearing the same shirt. The statistically the best.
Yep.
Also from the makers of Gear Card. Anyway,
Hey.
we are reprising the axe throwing again this year. It's going to be super dope. We've got a company coming out, so it's not just going to be like some 2x4s that we just throw sharp things at. It'll be professionals with liability insurance, so it's their fault if anybody gets hurt, unless they make us sign waivers saying it's not their fault.
Yeah.
But they'll be doing that. And this year, we have, instead of just calling it like the Perrin Axe Throwing Contest, we have a fun new name also related to the TV show. I very much like this name. The Axe Throwing Contest this year will be called, I think it's on the schedule, Does Layla Survive?
Dark friend. We all know she's a dark friend.
She is not.
She's a dark friend. I'm dragon spanging her.
You're dragon banging her? What?
Yeah, that. I said what I said.
Yeah.
That's mine.
Oh yeah,
I'm just wondering how much
Layla survive?
Does Layla survive? If you were Perrin in that situation and you swing your axe, is it going to meet its mark, or is it going to go and fly off, not do anything?
I mean, technically, then, if you want Layla to survive, then you should miss. But
But you won't win no prizes.
And then about 30 minutes into,
are we incentivizing people to kill Layla?
Yes.
You know why?
Well, I mean, if you're a bigger fan of the books than you are for the show, then you win anyway. So that's what you want. You don't want to remember Layla. I'm not saying that's how I feel. I'm just saying that could be rationale. Now that Josh is slightly done terrorizing us with punctuation,
I should actually specify that using the dragon's fang in that manner is actually quite offensive. You shouldn't do it anymore.
Nope.
Ever since the Lord Dragon gave amnesty for Manica Channel, the dragon's fang should be used as a sign of hope. And that is that, and I will specify that I use it in this context to say that I hope we kill Layla because she's a dark friend.
What is the hand gesture for the dragon's fang? Is it just
let me use my strong hand?
You have to use two fingers? Is it?
I don't know.
Anyway, 30 minutes into that or so, Josh and I for sure, and we will open it up to anybody else that wants to participate at your own risk. We will be doing Taste or Taint, our annual challenge where, for us, we take and try increasingly hot sauces and then try to answer questions or perform a task. So this one, it might be our mouths burning and we try to throw an axe. Who knows? So that'll be going on for about 2 hours total for the axe throwing, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be super dope. Again, that'll be live streamed. And then the next evening, right before we get into the bulk of the Watt Tales contest, we will be doing our much requested, not the topic, but the general theme of it. We're going to do an in-person roundtable kind of panel thing, picking a topic of metaphysics in nature from the Wheel of Time. So people seem to love it when we do metaphysics episodes, and Josh and I just sit here and pretend like we're smart enough to argue about how physics works in the Wheel of Time. And we're going to do that in person, and we're going to have some special guests. So stay tuned for that. Or maybe you'll just have to be there to find out. And by be there, I mean in person or on virtual. Again, virtual tickets $15. You can get one at blacktowerpod.com/TGM. There's a QR code there, or you can just PayPal us at blacktowerpod@gmail.com. $15. And if you would put a note that says TGM virtual, but I do know if we get like a $15 thing, I know it's for that.
Yeah.
And those will be the emails we send out the links to view all of the streams. And that will be the only way you can watch it. We'll send out some emails beforehand too to make sure everybody gets it, and we'll try to put out there like, hey, if you haven't gotten an email from us, like if you're coming in person, this is definitely for you. If you're coming in person and you haven't seen the email from us with the in-person questionnaire, that
please
means
reach
that
out to us.
The email that was used whenever you paid us on PayPal is the one that you need to check, and it might be in your spam, or just shoot us a message and we'll send it to you again.
And guys, this is really important because we want to make sure that if there are any dietary restrictions, that we make sure that we can provide meals for people with dietary restrictions. We also need to know if you want to participate in Taste the Taint. We want to make sure that we have enough food there for that. When we have other things that we need to do, I just want to make sure that we have everything covered, so that everybody who's there can have a pleasant experience. So if you have purchased an in-person ticket and plan on being there and have not yet gotten the questionnaire or have not yet filled out the questionnaire, please do so immediately, as soon as possible.
We have a fantastic question. Definitely not a prompt for us to make sure we say something we should. Leia asked, what is the last day we can get virtual tickets? Well, what a fantastic question, Leia.
So glad you asked, Leia.
I'm not going to the Gathering Madness, unfortunately.
Which sucks, because I would love for you to be there.
Yeah, someone didn't tell me in enough time for me to plan this in enough time and stuff.
I feel like we vaguely talked about this, and you were like talking about doing other trips and stuff.
No, because somebody told me this was going to be the the Charleston trip was going to be in 2025, and
no, I would never. I would never.
Yeah,
I would. Yeah. I am so organized. I'm organized as fuck, boy.
Well, speaking of organized, we're approaching that 23 minutes of Fret Boys talking about Beer Mart.
We are.
We'll have to do it again, and maybe next time. Maybe next time we can do something, and OGearCon will be happening, and we can kind of partner and do some fun stuff. Anyway, last day to get your virtual tickets is you have until 11:59 p.m. Eastern, so basically midnight, on Sunday, the 20th of October. So that's just under 3 weeks from now. It's 2 days shy of 3 weeks from now. $15. Send it to us on PayPal, and we will make sure that we send you the links to watch everything. Now, speaking of Whitetail contest, we currently have 2 entries. And while I'm not necessarily opposed to only having to try 2 drinks and only have to, us go out and buy the alcohol for only 2 drinks, because shit's expensive. Fucking inflation and all that, whatnot. But I would love to have more. And I know Josh would love to have more to celebrate at that point an almost month recovering from sobriety.
I think I'm going to submit a cocktail. I actually came across something that
That's messy. You should go clean that up. You should. And I'm trying to think of one to submit to. But the thing with ours is we try them, and anybody else that wants to try them can try them. However, we are not eligible to win our own Whitetails contest. And this year, more than just saying, hey, we have prizes, I can show you. We physically have prizes. So a shot glass for our 2 categories. You can win TGM 2024 Best Tasting.
Best Tasting Shot.
You can win TGM 2024 Best Inspiration. And this is for any drink. It could be the shot. It could be a cocktail. All the rules are in the form. So these are the cool ones there. Thank you to New Creations by Jen for doing the shot glasses and putting the fancy designs on them. And there may or may not be another surprise in store for when
I'm going to submit one.
Good.
That's just called Death Gates. And it's just going to be 2 parts Everclear, 1 part Jaeger.
That's definitely not going to win best tasting.
There's no part of that didn't
Best
just
inspiration.
trigger
It's going to be
flight.
That's
That entire idea just
Everclear,
triggered
1 part
fight or
Jaeger.
flight.
Ugh. That sounds awful.
Yeah, I
that
know.
definitely
The last
sounds
time
like
I
you
had
would die.
the last time I had Jaeger was the day I learned that Jaeger can in fact expire. So
expired Jaeger. I'm going to ask for
Yeah.
expired.
Specifically.
hey, actually, that may not be horrible because then you won't have anything in your stomach long enough for it to mess you up. It's just gonna
Hey, you know,
hurt coming out because
that's why it's called the
burns
death
both
gate.
ways. Yeah. But blacktowerpod.com/TGM or just go blacktowerpod.com and click on the Gathering Madness button right there. There is a link where you can go to the Google form to fill out your submission for the Watt Tales contest, as well as the cutoff date for those, which I believe is also the 20th, about a week ahead of time to give us time to buy everything. And it's got all the rules and the categories, all that fun stuff. So go and check that out. Again, everything you need to know about the Gathering Madness, blacktowerpod.com/TGM. Josh has taken on the daunting task of maintaining the website and will be updating it with more information as it's available. So if you're watching this publicly on Friday and you go and look at the schedule and it still only says virtual panel and doesn't say what topic it is, just spam at Josh in our Discord in the common room until he shows proof that it's done. Yeah, because it'll be fine. Because Friday, you're all Fridays, right? Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Even if you're not, you'll be fine.
We'll be good. Well, we're fine. We're fine. It's all fine here.
You're fine. It's fine.
We're fine now. We're fine
So
now.
anyway,
We can do this.
With all of those Gathering Madness announcements out of the way, again, if you have questions, please reach out. We're going to get on to the topic because it's hilarious that the topic for today, I have more slides for than of any other thing we have ever made slides for before. And we are already 25 minutes into the episode.
Dude, I'm so excited. You know what? I'm excited for Gathering Madness. And I don't care that we spent the first half of the episode talking about Gathering Madness because it's going to be, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Last year's Gathering Madness at Evermore Park was the best Gathering Madness to date. Mm-hmm. And I walked away from that. Obviously, there were some pieces that I was like, we could have improved on, la, la, la. That's natural for any event. But I walked away from there overall thinking, we're not going to improve on this. This was the best event we will ever host. And now I'm looking at this and I got to say,
we traumatized the park and they shut down. So now we have to do something different.
We've bail fired a YouTube channel.
We shut
and
down
now
YouTube,
we bail fired a theme park.
A podcast.
We bail fired another podcast. Wait, can
we bail fired the podcast?
I mean, you were the last guests.
Touche. Hashtag if you know, you know. Hey, Andrew, what are we talking about tonight? Hashtag not so subtle segue.
All right. Well, I'm going to give us a nice, short, but very, very sweet spoiler warning for... Well, no, do we really need it? Because it's TV. Well, we may spoil some of the books.
Light spoilers. Yellow. Cautionary
I don't
tale.
have a pre-recorded light spoiler warning. Hey, Morshadi, you're a patron. Do you want to do it live?
Sure, let's do it live.
Fuck it, we'll do it
light
live.
Spoilers,
Fuck it, we'll do it
live. We'll do it live.
Maybe through Dragon Reborn.
Through Dragon Reborn. Ladies and gentlemen.
All of the TV show and maybe through Dragon Reborn.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children and non-binaries of all ages, welcome to the Black Tower Podcast. Please note, we will be light spoilering everything from Eye of the World, New Spring, the Great Hunt. Sorry, I'm a little drunk here. And Dragon Reborn, as well as Season 1 and 2, potentially some plot points from Season 3. If you have not watched any of these, please be warned. This is a full spoiler podcast for all of those. So make sure that you put on that spoiler condom all the way on.
I don't mean to brag or nothing, but usually
Patreon teaser.
Let me see if I can get my microphone. My desk is a mess. That's why we don't show my desk.
Even Josh didn't get to see it. So if you caught it, you caught it.
Here's the thing. Usually you have to pay extra for that, what you just got. So if you want, actually, this is actually a good time to promote you guys real quick. Morshadi has a new podcast called Delving the Chronicles. And you were there. Do you want to give us a quick?
Sure, yeah. I was actually just going to do it at the end, but we are Delving the Chronicles. I am on this podcast. I'm just a very small part of this podcast. The other people on this podcast are Beth Doman, and you all know Beth Doman. I don't know why she's not here. Oh my god. Dana Lou, not Zool. Zool. You all know her.
There is no Dana. There is only Zool.
There is only Zool. And Koala Sadai. So amazing.
Who we love because she's adorable.
Where we talk about so many different topics about real world things attached to and tangentially associated to the Wheel of Time. We recently just dropped an episode as of Monday morning about war crimes in the Wheel of Time. Oh. Hey, look at that. It is Beth Doman.
Hey, Beth, I definitely didn't just see after 10 minutes you saying, hey, I'm waiting for the link to the show, only to realize that I posted the link to last week's show in the Discord.
Oh, no.
So if you're now listening live and you're one of our patrons, the previous 25 minutes of the show was us doing Gathering Madness announcements. They're pretty cool. I do recommend going back and watching them.
Please go back and watch. It is good.
I do fail, but at least I'm forgiven. And that's all that matters.
I love that she caps the first couple letters. So she's saying it like this. Andrew. Like, I feel like you're getting scolded.
But the streamer has risen, and I have been forgiven.
Yay! Anyway, we are Delving the Podcast. We are a bi-monthly podcast, or technically bi-weekly podcast. Every 2 weeks, we post something. We are like several episodes deep already. We just released episode 8. We've got lots of episodes already in the tank because we're awesome like that. But we do have an special episode coming up with a certain Rob. Malkier Talks coming up.
You mean Malkier's sexiest chef?
Sexiest chef talks.
Wow. And third best swordsman.
Third best swordsman.
Did you know that?
Indeed.
Do you know who the second best is?
Who is?
Nynaeve.
We'll be talking to Rob. That episode will be coming out just a little later. We'll be talking to him about probably WoT-a-Holiday, which is coming up.
Oh, WoT-a-Holiday is coming up, yeah.
We're going to be on, I think, actually, a couple episodes before you, a couple hours before you, a couple hours after Rebecca Sadai, and just all over the place, honestly. So be mindful of that episode coming out.
Very mindful.
And we don't have it in the tank yet, so I don't want to spoil it. But we've got some very, very special guests coming up. I will let you guys know afterwards. But
isn't it?
Totally. I mean, you guys are totally welcome anytime. I'm just saying.
I mean,
hey.
But also be talking about their charity works, and if I can, I will let you know as soon as we know.
Well, geez, man, just throw me in prison. Why don't you?
Oh my god!
Awesome. Well, thank you, Morshadi, for being here.
Subtle nod that I think it is or not. We'll find out later.
The show is always better when we have Morshadi here checking our facts. When the fact checker Mihail is here checking our facts. We're always better.
I love how never mind. Remind me to mention something about our brainstorming channel later.
Copy that.
Made me laugh. Anyway, today we're going to talk about the TV show. The TV show is a lot of fun to talk about, whether you love it or you just kind of like it, or you like it, or you love it. If you hate it, then, well, there's nothing we can do for you. You just have bad taste.
Well, hold on. If you hate it, depends on why you hate it. Depends on why you hate it.
No.
If you hate it on principle, get the fuck out. Just go.
No, that's fair. But I think objectively, if you're not just hating it if you're not one of those people that hates it for like the terrible reasons or just the shitty reasons, that you won't hate the entire TV show, so you'll have issues with parts of it.
Fair.
So, as the spirit is definitely still there. We're going to talk about cultures.
There are pieces of the show that are just, but there are also pieces of the show that are spectacular and amazing.
Softly.
And that's
Softly. I can't wait. Wait. Anyway, sorry, Andrew, you were going somewhere with that.
So there are parts. See, that was going to be really cool. The background was supposed to be translucent or transparent. That's what the word I was looking for is. But apparently Google Slides doesn't translate transparent backgrounds over into StreamYard. So
no, you have to do that through OBS.
Yeah. So rather, Amon's Field, technically, the name of a place does not necessarily indicate the culture of the people in that place. However, for the purpose of this episode, I am using either the name of the place or the name of the organization for us to talk about the cultures relevant there and maybe in different little aspects of the culture there. So we're starting with Amon's Field. I got some pictures here from Amon's Field. That's it. That big, beautiful, kind of not thatched roof, but thatched roof bastard you. I almost feel like I love the books enough to where I grew up here.
Okay, for real though, like part of me hates this picture because I'm not living in one of those houses that are like in the middle, right? Yeah. But also I've grown up in modern society where we have streets and grids and yards and things like this. Is not a representation of a modern neighborhood. This is very much a communal village. It's perfect.
Yeah.
I mean,
those streets look
it's glorious.
Do you think you could tell someone to make a right out of the Wine Spring Inn and go onto 4th Street? Actually, they barely have 4 streets. If you told them 5th Street, they'd be like, what, straight up?
It's true. And then here's the thing is like and it's not even like the houses that I really enjoy. One of the things, the set dressings that I love about Emmons Field for me, what is one of the things that where do Rand and Tam live?
They're
away down Quarry Road.
Yeah.
Emmons Field is in a quarry. Look at that. Look where they set the village.
Yeah.
It's literally
like a very old quarry. Like this has obviously not been an active part of the quarry for decades.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like in the books and stuff, it just shows Quarry Road as one long road, right? But like in the show, they zigzag up the mountain, right? And that's literally how a quarry works.
That would be exactly how a quarry.
Yeah.
Thought, and I want one of y'all to help me try to remember this thing. So, do you think this area became a quarry because people would come here looking for artifacts of Manetheren and discover the valuable stone that were in the area?
Well, okay, hold on. We've got to differentiate here because the foundations of the Wine Spring Inn in the books
is redstone.
Were the original foundations of a building that was in Manetheren. Now, was it the palace? I don't know. But we do know it was a building, and that's why it's the Wine Spring. That's why it's this sort of central location, right?
It was probably built on
places here.
Yeah. Well, but it could be though. That's the thing is it could be because you have something that's foundational that existed from the time of Manetheren. Now, did the TV show keep to that? There's no evidence that they did or didn't.
Yeah.
I can say there's no river behind there. Mm-hmm. There's no wine spring
because the Wine Spring Inn was built
on the wine spring.
So like, there's no river there. But like that's okay, right? Like in this case,
it might
like
be through the trees. You don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly But like that's one of the things I really,
how
really
much
love.
It costs to CGI a river and a battle in one episode.
Julie was doing to our budget.
Oh my god. Like we could either spend the money on a river or the cloaks or the sets.
Right.
Yeah. But no, it's just a random thought. That, like with it being so near a quarry, do you think that like that's what the story of Manetheren and people looking for stuff from Manetheren is what brought their attention to the areas like stone availability, and that is why it's now a stone quarry for Andor in the books, and in the TV show, I guess why Amon's Field is in a quarry, or at least on the edge of one. I just thought it was a cool idea. Not really the topic of tonight, but I thought it was a neat idea.
Well, it fits well, I think, with the setting because
definitely fits better with the show for sure.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it too is just that a quarry, and then obviously it's analogous to the Shire, right? And it just gives you that it's very that whole earthiness, that whole like dwarf mentality of the earth, and just very grounded.
Yeah.
And because that's the thing, there's a lot of those characters in that village are very grounded people. They're very close to the earth, very close to each other, and that is who they are. And like, when you look at all these sets and stuff, they're all designed in such a way like it's a snowy area. Those roofs and stuff are designed where it's peaked, so that way snow falls off, right? So it doesn't collect on top. And
how
just like,
do you think those things are?
I have no idea. If like it
depends on how much hay you harvested that year.
I mean, could you imagine like you're not in the mood, you live that close to the neighbor, but your neighbor's in the mood. Is that like third age like aphrodisiacs? You hear your neighbors going at it, so it like gets you going.
Would that get you going, Andrew?
Hey, do we have a talk, Andrew?
I mean, you don't know.
Yeah, that's a whole different. I mean, I have some podcasts you can.
How do you feel living next to Sin Bowie, hearing him getting some, and you're just laying there in bed?
Oh God!
I will say this:
knowing that it's been like weeks for you. Sin Bowie's been laying pipe every night for the past 2 weeks.
He's been laying thatch.
That's where the Thatcher comes in. He's like, I'm sending the Thatcher.
Come here, baby.
What's up, baby?
In the books, he was an actual Thatcher. He would actually thatch things. In the TV show, they called him the Thatcher because he was. I'm ashamed of the joke I'm about to make. No, because he's long and skinny.
Wow.
You may not know this, but people around these parts call me the Thatcher.
They call me the Thatcher.
All right. So this is kind of like what the area looks like. And like Morshadi pointed out, it's a snowy area, or an area at least prone to snow, which all this builds into this kind of culture they have. I mean, it's obviously in a time frame of civilization where agriculture is like your first, second, and third kind of concerns, because you only have a finite growing season to grow stuff to eat until you just hope that you can, survive on snow, bark, and whatever animals still happen to be up and about moving. So you still have to very much focus on that kind of agrarian type society and the bartering and helping out your neighbor. So like whenever you're not up for laying pipe, maybe Sin Bowie comes over and thatches the roof for your wife or your husband or whoever. Moving on. Clothing is kind of the next thing I kind of thought about here. In this picture, I saved as Two Rivers of Farmers Clothing. And of course, having watched season 1 and 2 now and seeing the Blood Snows and seeing Tam as a younger Illianer soldier, he wears that belt like he knows what he's doing for sure.
That belt belongs to him.
Over the coat and everything. But you got old Randius Maximus over here with the biggest of wool sweaters.
Dude, okay, look, I want to do this, and I don't know that this has been something that has been discussed yet. I will say this, like, okay, we are all aware that there are two kinds of Vikings, right? There's pop culture Vikings that was made famous by the TV show Vikings, and yay, till Valhalla and everything like that. Then there's actual historical Vikings. Tam is dressed like an actual historic Viking right now. Rand is also dressed like an actual historical Viking right now. This is something that I have actually noticed about the TV show and what they did in Emmons Field, and the sort of the robe kind of clothing attire that they have going on there to kind of keep warmth in. Obviously, we know this is fall, right? This is this is Beltane. This is spring.
This is
This is the end of winter, beginning of spring.
Yeah.
Except in the books, it was still all snow.
Yeah, so they're still warming up. Things are still pretty chilly. So this is actually something you'd see Nordic farmers wearing. Like they nailed it. Like we don't care about what it looks like. We care about what its function is.
Yep.
And they did a great job. The costume designers did a great job with that.
The thing I like too is when you look at the strap for Rand's quiver,
yeah,
it shows that Tam has made sure that he knows how to wear a quiver. Because in a lot of like fantasy shows or like superhero shows where you have people wearing quivers that are across the back, it's much lower on the chest so that it more evenly splays out whatever their chest piece is. But it's not nearly as functional. You want the quiver kind of like not overly tight, but you want it nice and kind of snug so that when you're reaching back to pull an arrow, it's not sliding around. And they did that with Rand. It's positioned right to where, despite being snug, the arrows are still accessible, easy to pull out from the quiver. But it's cinched up to where if he has to run or if he's running and reaching or whatever, it's there. And Rand doesn't know how to fucking do that. Obviously, Tam taught him that.
Right.
Like, quit sagging your quiver, son. Fucking tighten that thing up.
These kids today sagging their arrow quivers.
Kids they run around sagging their quiver. So and I picked this one again because again more of the kind of clothing styles, less about Lan and Moraine because obviously they're not from Amon's Field, but you got Sasquatch over. I mean Marcus Rutherford. I mean Perrin.
Dude, look how big he is though.
Totally.
Yeah, massive.
Yeah,
you got Rand in his pimp coat.
Yep.
You got Matt in his bathrobe. You got Nynaeve in her like nice divided working dress.
Yeah.
And then you got like Egwene in an oversized comfort shawl.
She's wearing the Wheel of Time version of a Snuggie.
Oh my god.
Egwene,
imagine Mistress
rocking the WoT
Alvear.
Snuggie.
Mistress Alvear handing her a Snuggie. Keep this with you, my child. It will keep you warm in the trying times.
Congratulations on getting yeeted off the cliff into a river. Here's a Snuggie.
But do you notice the thing that they all have in common that you don't see with Lan or Moraine's clothing right now?
Muffs.
They have muffs which are made of
furs.
Exactly. So it harkens back to them being in an area prone to cold weather, and this being coming out of cold weather into slightly warmer weather. All the Monfielders, except for kind of Matt, but Matt in the show is kind of unfortunately part of the Broke Boys Club.
Yeah, I was about to say he came from a very
has built-in insulation.
Yeah,
but everybody else has a lot of fur in their clothing, or they have a lot of layers that they can shed, put on, and take off as needed. It's
like ogres
and Matt. Yeah.
Or onions.
Like
they have layers.
They have layers. Yes.
I hate you so much right now.
No, this is actually something I've not thought about before. Because if you look at it, you're right. You're absolutely correct. Like Moraine and Lan have very sort of processed fabrics, right? Like obviously it's still accurate for the time period.
But it's also sleek and it's not as likely to fray or come apart as like fur-lined stuff is.
Yeah, and I'm actually like, this is me coming from a person like I am by no means a professional seamstress or anything like that. But where I did sew my Ashaman coat, I notice things about it, and Moraine and Lan have clothing and coats that have finished seams. If you look at the edges, all the edges are complete and finished. Whereas if you go over to the Emmons Fielders, like Rand's pimp coat there, it's just strips of animal hide with wool on the inside that have been stitched together.
Yeah. For warmth.
He's the
Because-
for
Daddy
warmth,
of
because we
Primal.
want
Yeah.
practicality.
Yep.
Nynaeve, the same thing. And I love this. Again, they did depart from the books, right? Because in the books, we want a stout Two Rivers wool.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. It's not stout Two Rivers wool. It's not wool at all, really. It's more of an animal skin. It's more of like a leather hide kind of a situation. But I feel like it works for the visual medium because we want to show where these people are from. And I feel like it's one of the subtle details. It's one of the small details that gives us the feeling, the energy of where these people come from.
Well, and if you
The only person
I don't-
with fleece is the sheep herder. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, that's
and
cool.
you probably don't have this photo but when there's a scene between Rand and Egwene when they're sitting up on the mountaintop, and you can actually see both of their shoes, right? Rand has like cobbled shoes that are meant for being out in the open, being whatever. Now, and Egwene's shoes are still the cobbled shoes, but they're meant more for being inside. Right, you can tell that there's a I wouldn't say delicateness, but would not be meant for working outside.
Right.
And so then they were nicer looking, and they're not scuffed up, but again, they're not Lan or Maureen shoes, right? And the thing is, like Rand and Nynaeve, right? They work outside. Like Nynaeve is going around everywhere, and she's also going into the woods to collect herbs.
Yep.
Right, she needs those kinds of clothes. Perrin works indoors, but is still working in the forge, still like hot and cold.
Yeah.
Right. So he has to you can see where his clothes are not as padded on the.
Well, kind of.
It's kind of hard to see, but the details, I remember seeing them. Everyone you can see where their life matches up to their clothes in what they were doing. And because of how poor Matt was, his clothes are very rudimentary and very thin, which leads to that joke. Well, why don't you give me your coat, right?
Right.
Like,
right.
oh, are you the funny one now?
You're the funny one now.
So now we have this is the women's circle.
I love that they all have jugs of brandy.
Yeah, baby.
So they were all kind of following Egwene up to get yeeted off a cliff into the water. Because nothing says I'm a woman like imminent danger to life and limb. But again, all of their clothing is fairly intricate. I mean, in the books, they talk a lot about how like while the women's circle is dealing with all these important matters, they're also hanging out and knitting and mending and doing all this other stuff. The other thing I'm just now noticing is the older lady right there in the middle screen. Is her staff an old bow or something? Like, why is it notched at the top? Well, I mean, that's too big of a notch to be a bow, but
I mean,
maybe
it's
an
for
old
hanging
bow and
something.
it cracked and whatever there.
It's for hanging something. I don't think it's an old bow, but it definitely, like when you've got a staff like that, it's
would be a really
notched
thick
for a
bow.
reason.
It's an ancient
Right.
Ogier bow, Josh. God,
Oh,
clearly. All right.
my bad. Sorry.
And then we have Beltane. So I definitely had to include this picture. This is a massive cultural picture for Amon's Field. Again, Beltane is the celebration of the end of winter, the come about of spring. Celebrate it because what can you do in the spring that you couldn't do in the winter? You can start planting shit. You can start growing shit. You can more frequently shear the sheep, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a shepherd. I don't know how quickly they grow fur. According to Minecraft,
you do
it's
not.
just eat a grass block and they grow fur like back pretty quick.
You do not
Wool.
shear the sheep until there are no more freezes. Don't shear the sheep too early. If there's a freeze, you might lose some.
Yeah. But they've got decorations, and for Amon's Field, the decorations they've made, these are relatively colorful and vibrant, despite their simplicity and their plainness in comparison to like what we would think of as like party streamers and stuff. I mean, you can see Maureen is thoroughly unimpressed. So, you know, not
Well,
her
but
shade
Maureen
of pink.
also comes from the real world.
Yeah.
This is actually something too that I feel like a lot of people gave hate to the show for, that I don't think is deserved. Moraine shows up to the Two Rivers. In the books, barely anybody knows about the Two Rivers, right? It's like, oh yeah, we know them for wool and tobacco, and it's just a name on a map somewhere, and it could be from anywhere. Like, go to your local tobacco store and buy some tobacco, and then say to me, look me in the eyes and say, this tobacco comes from Alabama. Like, fuck off. You don't know that.
Well, that's one of the only reasons people know where it's at is Two Rivers tobacco is like noteworthy. That's it. But that's the region. That's not just Amon's Field.
Right.
That's the regional name.
That would be like people not knowing where Vermont might exist. I guess it's, they got really good wool that comes from Vermont, but I don't know, Vermont. But in the show, they changed
I can remember
that.
What state it is. There's a state where that's like a legitimate joke. Like, hey, have you ever met somebody from X state? No.
Rhode Island.
It's not real.
Wyoming. It's Wyoming.
I've met people from Wyoming.
Wyoming is a government conspiracy. Doesn't exist.
No, it's Finland.
Beth is from Vermont. You've offended.
What are you
trying to say there, Joshy?
I'm not trying to say nothing, Beth. I'm just using Vermont as an example because I like your cheese.
I can confirm that Beth does exist. So
I've seen the TikToks and the other videos.
Yeah. Okay.
There are no other videos.
Yeah.
Did you just Jedi me with a finger?
No, but
Anyway.
But in the TV show, they made it a more sort of realistic. Like, if you're living in the world, I live in Utah. I've never been to Florida, but I know it exists. Like, they made it more sort of relatable. I have actually been to Florida.
Yeah.
But they made it more relatable, as in Moraine walks into the Two Rivers and everybody knows she's Aes Sedai, which was another thing. The rings, I thought, were great in the TV show. I know people give a lot of hate to the rings. I thought they were great.
I think they're too big, but I think that
I
think everyone knows
it was
she
for a
was
reason.
Was a good reason.
That was the thing.
But I think they were a little too big.
I mean, I would agree, but again, I feel like that was the reason. You switch from a book media to a visual media.
Yeah.
And I can imagine a small ring with a snake biting its own tail as something that people would notice when I'm reading the books. When I'm watching the TV show, if someone walks in with a little golden band that's snake biting its own tail, and someone says, "Oh, jeez, I'm like, how the fuck did you know that? Stop it. No, you didn't." But where they made these big, gigantic, gaudy snake biting tail rings with a giant stone in it, it fit.
Did you know
I'm perfectly for the show?
Red Audra? Did you
Yeah.
know?
No,
like,
but that's exactly what it was. And Moraine even used it like that when they were at Tyrion Ferry. She was like, "I need to cross this river now."
All right, moving on to the next spot. There's only 2 episodes for the next place we're going to talk about, and it's very Corey-like as well. I try to make these actually kind of flow from one to the other. Bryn's Spring.
Ooh.
Which is spelled with 2 E's, which is why the first time I looked, I was like, where are all the pictures? That's where they were, hiding behind the second E.
Hey-o!
Speaking of Corey, like you look at hold on, I can find the slide. I can make this work. Hold on. You look at
You can do it.
Nope,
I
not
believe
that
in
one.
you.
This one, and you're like, that's not a quarry. This is a quarry.
It's true though.
Yeah. Which
but
I gotta say, this is probably like in my top 5 landscape scene kind of shots from at least season 1.
yeah.
Because this is just a beautiful shot, and it's also terrifying because I know people love to do cliff diving in old quarries. You could not pay me enough money to cliff dive off of any of those cliffs. It's not gonna fucking happen.
The thing is, I remember what you were talking about earlier about a quarry road that switches back and forth, right? It goes up a mountain. There it is, right there. There it is. Beth the Fearless.
Fun note. So when everyone was at MalkyriCon, they went on a tour to this area.
No kidding.
They did. And it was really funny because there were a couple that was where these two were.
Yeah.
There was a couple that was sleeping on the cliff edge. And Koala Sadai showed us that picture that they took.
Oh, wow.
And the area here, obviously there's CGI elements to this whole thing. Right?
I was about to say probably everything before the
basically,
bridge.
Essentially basically the bridge and like the city and everything. But imagine just regular cliffside after that. It looks exactly like that. But like the couple was just laying there and they're just like tangled up together, keeping each other on the cliff. Cliffside. It was very cute, very adorable. Lovely. But it looks basically like that. Any signs of civilization are not there, obviously, but like the cliff, it looks exactly like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so this is a bit closer up, as you can see from here. If you go from Rand's Head straight up past the bridge, you're gonna bring us pretty much into this view here. Kind of goes down into a little dock for the little lake
coming right into the village. Yeah.
And you can see in the back towards the top right, there's the more like pedestrian winding roads for the still active quarrying, which is interesting because normally quarries, they dig down in layers, and it looks like this one, they dug down and it still has that kind of tiered layer thing for all the open area that we see here. But you get to the back and maybe like they're like, oh, the age of needing all of this stone isn't as crazy anymore. So now it's just smaller scale mining. You know, you're not building cities, you're building like manors.
I don't know if you have a scene snapshot of the next when they're walking in and they're showing the scales.
Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah. So then in that scene, they're not mining ore. They're mining ancient artifacts.
What?
Yeah.
Hold up. Stop. What?
Yeah.
Present your evidence, sir.
I mean, Andrew will have to pull it up.
Pull it up, Andrew.
I'm
pull up
evidence. I'm looking.
Where's the evidence, Andrew? Release the Snyder Cut.
It's where they're measuring the scales and they're walking behind it.
Honestly, never mind. I just found it. Never mind. I was about to say like, I'll have to do this. Shut the fuck up, Josh.
Hey, Andrew. Did you miss me drunk?
No. Yes, I did. Of course I did. You know how weird I felt being the only drunk one doing this shit?
I have a present for Morshadi. It's the BTP pin. This is for you.
Oh. Is this what you're talking about?
Yeah, there's another scene that's just like it, but yeah, essentially when you look through that whole scene, you see someone putting it on the scale, and it's not ore. It's an actual it looks almost like a gear, like a camshaft.
Oh shit! I did not know that. I have to rewatch this episode.
Yeah, so they're not looking for. I mean, I'm sure that area is a mining town, right? But they're pulling stuff up, they're pulling up old metal artifacts.
Is that why it looks like? So across the bottom of this picture and on the table to the left side, it looks like there's a bunch of like random like scrap iron and just pipes and just random shit.
Wow.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's cool. Bryn Spring just got a lot cooler.
Yeah.
Also, look at the totems.
Yep.
With the faces carved in it.
Kings.
Again, a very Nordic inspired.
Looks like
it's also there's 4 of them and they have crowns. Those are the 4 kings.
4 kings. Ayo.
Yeah.
Shout out.
I never noticed that there were 4 kings. That's fucking awesome.
That is like again.
That's Dana's Inn is the 4 kings inn, and the totem poles are 4 kings.
Which
rather than having like the lame old dangly sign.
Yeah. Shout out to Jim from Fantasy for the Ages for trying to kill us with his cocktail submission, The 4 Kings. Holy shit.
Barely remembered night before. Yeah. So this is Bryn Spring. Bryn Spring kind of fills the gap in the TV show for those that
Really
only
well
read the books and
planned.
watch the show. It fills the gap between. It basically takes the place of us not having the town or city, mini city, mega town of Whitebridge.
Like Barrelon,
because it would be really hard to make Ogier sung bridges.
Look,
CGI. Well, not,
look,
not with their budget.
I know this is unpopular opinion, but I'll say it. It made perfect sense, TV show wise, timeline wise, to combine Barrelon and Tarvalon.
Yep,
made perfect sense. Now they completely cut Andor out. We can have another discussion about that, but made perfect sense to combine Barrelon and Tarvalon.
And Tarvalon.
No, Barrelon and Tarvalon.
Yeah, so Bringer Springs took the place of Barrelon and a little bit of Whitebridge and some of those cities in the middle.
Right.
They more combined Barrelon and Faldara than they did Barrelon and Tarvalon.
Oh, touche.
Because the only notable thing in Barrelon was men, and men we find in Faldara.
It's more of a patchwork quilt, right? I'm saying that the patches.
Now, if you said Barrelon and Whitebridge, and it being combined into Bryn Spring, then yeah, absolutely, I would agree on that.
Well, Whitebridge is absolutely.
That's what I think.
Whitebridge is absolutely Bryn Spring.
That's
absolutely
the bridge. That's the white bridge right there. Yeah. Clearly.
I mean, it's the one from the show, sure.
It's Whitebridge, clearly. I mean, don't you see the white reflected in the water by the bridge? Whitebridge.
Exactly.
Totes my goats.
Totes my goats. BT does.
All right. Next, Faldara.
Oh, we have issues with Faldara.
Yeah. Well,
I have beef with Faldara.
Yeah, I have a lot of beef with Faldara and the location. The structure. So this is the single entry exit point of Faldara. After the drawbridge. Well, no, sorry, they don't have a drawbridge. They have gates. So this is the single entry exit point for the Fortress of Faldara. That is there to protect Tarwin's Gap from the forces of the Trollocs, even though it's like, I don't know, 10 nautical miles away from the Gap. Anyway, I don't have any pictures showing the Gap in this one.
Have you ever watched I can't remember if it's Epicurious or something, but there's a military expert who like rates military attacks from fantasy TV shows.
No, it was a medieval battle expert.
Yeah,
and he did this, I've talked about this before.
He did the battle in episode 8, and he's like watching it, and he's like
Tarwin's Gap,
and he's like, "What?
Where's their trench?
Where's their trenches? There's miles and miles.
Where's the trench?
Why don't they have trenches every 20 feet?"
It was like,
if you're going to build your fortress this far back from the defensive position, where's all of your lines of defense? Why do you not have like in place ballistas? Because they definitely have ballista technology in this. Like, come on.
Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, I just read this. So Black Tar Podcast doing a WoT reread, and well, Fires of Heaven is last month. We're supposed to be moving on to Lord of Chaos. I'm a little bit behind. Sorry, I'm still reading Fires of Heaven.
So am I.
Fires of Heaven,
for me, Rand and Avienda just came back through the game.
Barsnows constantly.
Ayo. When the Shido are laying siege to Carrion, Carrion is using ballista against the Shido.
Yep.
And that's the first time they've seen it.
Yeah. But the bigger thing I have is why you built your fortress. If you're not going to have any of the other shit, why is your fortress, the stronghold that is built to be confusing to anybody that's not, I don't know, you? And to be to like corral people into like narrow ways where you're trained to fight, but maybe they're not. All of the advantages so far away to where the Trollocs can literally just say, I don't give a shit about your fortress. We'll just go the other way. Like, why? There's no need to deal with the Faldaran fortress
at all.
Anyway,
at all.
It is really beautiful because I think about half of this is real and about half of this is CGI. I think.
You're being much kinder than I would be. I think all of that is CGI.
Well, I think they used the base.
Yeah, they used the actual location.
But I
think the actual location is just the middle.
But even
then,
from
the center structure.
Yeah.
from a defensible fortress standpoint, like having these, so on the side closest to us, which apparently only the middle little diamond has any kind of artillery on top of it. These three little things here without artillery or ballistas, whatever, on the outside most triangles makes zero sense. And even with them, they make barely any sense then. Why would you have your outcrop of defense on an interior wall?
Fun fact from ancient medieval times. Do you know
Dr.
why?
Livingston, make it make sense, please.
Do you know why medieval
It's not his
castles
fault, but he would know.
have rounded towers?
For like fighting.
For the stairwell that gives advantage to the defenders and disadvantage.
I'm not even, before you even get inside, if I am someone attacking a castle and I come up to the castle and I see that all of their walls and everything is rounded, why am I mad? Why am I upset with that?
Siege weapons would glance off?
Exactly. When
And
you've
it's
got
harder to,
when you've got all these 90-degree angles, all these beautiful 90-degree angles, guess what? Me as someone laying siege to this fortress, I'm going to start with those corners.
Yep. I guess
I'm going to start with those corners. Exactly. I have a target.
And then, like, especially right here closest to us, you have the little, it's almost like stairs of platforms up to the first primary defensive wall. Because you have a little triangle, then you have a little rectangle that's perfect height for stairs up to another one that already has structure built onto it.
Yeah.
To lead you to that first big kind of pointed defensible wall.
Also, I know we've talked about it before, but having one entrance and exit to a fucking city.
Yeah.
Stop.
I'd imagine they have secret ones. I would imagine.
Okay, but let's say Salt Lake City. There's one way to get into Salt Lake City. That would be the most annoying thing in existence.
Well, yeah, but Salt Lake City is like a major hub. Fall Dara's not. Nobody's going to Fall Dara on vacation.
No, but you need farms. You need economy. You need traders. You need vendors.
They're pretty much an arid land over here. Like, where are they going to do the farms?
Okay. Let
Exactly.
me say one thing. Okay, as someone who lives in Washington State, all right, where everyone's all like, "Oh, come to Washington because it's such a multicultural, diverse area." Washington State has shit ass food. All right, you know where like really good food fucking is? Surprisingly, Utah. All right, completely diverse, amazing food.
Look,
I will say every time I've been there, Josh has never like had to sit there and be like, "Huh, I have no idea where I should take you guys for food."
For my other show, Two Geeks, One Mic, we interviewed Jeff Dye once, and it was great. And Jeff Dye asked, "What is there to do in Utah?"
Yeah,
and I was like, honestly, hiking and food. And he was like, "Okay, but I can't eat the whole time I'm here."
Yeah, you can.
And I'm not going to just
and if you
walk
hike the whole time you're there
on a mountain.
Nothing says you have to hike in the mountains.
But the point that he was making was is that literally all there is to do in Utah is eat? And I'm like, kind of, yeah, but I don't hate it. Like, the food scene in Utah has come so far, and I really do feel like it's because
of the Mormons.
Anyway,
it's because of the Mormons.
Culturally, Utah is the mayonnaise of the United States.
Culturally, yes.
Culturally,
it makes great binder for brisket.
I mean,
no. I mean cheap mayonnaise. I would never put.
Yeah.
I would never
Like
put
Miracle
cheap
Whip,
mayonnaise
the
on a
thing that's
brisket.
not mayonnaise but tries to sell itself like it is mayonnaise.
When I go for mayonnaise as a binder, I'm going with like Duke's, or I will find. I'll do it.
Have you seen the Duke's has a mayonnaise that they make with olive oil?
Yes,
it's so good. Anyway,
I'm not a big fan of the olive oil.
Look, it's okay. You don't have to be.
It's okay. It's a
We
free
still love
country.
you.
You can choose to be wrong. I mean, to buy different mayonnaise. So, Fall Dara, being part of the Borderlanders that from the books are infamous for their military strategy, their prowess, their resiliency, and you look at this fortress in the location it is in the show, and nothing about it other than it looking like a child with construction paper cut out geometric shapes and tried to reconstruct Fort Sumter from South Carolina, or any other Civil War, American Revolution era fort that had all these, like, it was all points for whatever reason. Well, it was still the same reason. It was glancing blows from cannonades, and then the cannons would just reposition to hit the wall straight on rather than at a glance.
Right.
But I don't see that being reflected here. I don't see the military prowess here. I mean, they're relying completely on the natural landscape that doesn't lend itself to being able to approach Fal Dara easily, unless, funnily enough, you're coming from Tarwin's Gap. The only people that can approach across land the fortress easily are the Trollocs and Shadowspawn, which blows my mind.
Yeah.
Moving on, we got Lord Yakota. And I use individuals to show some of the dress and some of the different kind of clothing. And you see that he's got some very detailed clothing on. I mean, he is a lord, but the breastplate isn't like, that's not like, you know, all battle tarnished or whatever. That's hammered designs on the breastplate. It's scaled, golden scale-like designs for the lapels on his vestacoat.
It looks good though.
But it looks good, but it's also very lordy. It's not very battle-y, like I would expect from a Borderlander lord. But this, again,
yeah, you know, that's
fair,
actually a
this
good
TV
point.
Show, you do have to make it striking.
You know,
So-
no, that's a good point though, because we just talked about how much detail they went into making the sheep herders and farmers look like sheep herders and farmers.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. This is a little
Lord
ornate.
Yakota looks like a lord that commands from the rear and never goes to the front, which is not Borderlander.
Yeah, this looks like a little ornate to be.
Yeah. Now, in defense, it could be that they were informed that an Aes Sedai was there. They were having an audience with Aes Sedai, and they put on more formal attire over a more ceremonial breastplate to account for showing respect to an Aes Sedai. Because the Aes Sedai, the White Tower and Fal Dara have a long history of getting along. So maybe that's it. This is more so what I expected. What Uno is wearing, and even to a degree, what Lord Agomar is wearing. Speaking of Uno, got to do a thing. Don't let me forget to do the thing that I'm not saying out loud. Anyway, that tells you nothing to help me remember. Brain just fucking went somewhere.
Basically,
Anyway.
I'm going to say, do the thing that you said not to do, the thing that you did do.
Do the thing that you were talking about, Uno. Just do the thing, and I'll probably remember what
We don't talk about Uno, no.
So, Uno, I think, is wearing like very fitting armor for the style kind of combat that Fal Dara kind of goes with. Fal Dara tends to lend into the more horseback cavalry style military tactics. And the armor Uno's wearing allows for a great deal of mobility of the shoulders and arms, which is important from horseback.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't hate that they have, you know, their own insignias emblazoned upon the armor. I feel like that would be something there. I feel like Uno's armor here is actually really great, though.
Yeah. Well, he's got the Hulk of Fal Dara on his, whereas Lord Agomar has the Sigil of House Jagad on it. So he has his house on his. Uno and Lord Yakota, they have the Hulk symbol of Fal Dara, which I think is also interesting because they're not wearing the sigil of their liege lord. They're wearing the sigil of the keep that they defend. which is definitely very Borderlander. Say their allegiance is to defending the land before it is to the Lord of that land. And here's some of that cavalry, which you're talking about Viking. It's probably pop culture reference, but this closest dude with the blue kind of saddle blanket makes me think like mounted Viking.
I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
But you
it's
can
a little
see the
different
banners.
because they've got the banners or Khan, which we know is inspired by, you know, Eastern Asian.
Yeah, well, it's like feudal Japan kind of thing.
Yeah,
I wish I
yeah.
could remember the name of the game I played all the time. It was a lot of fun.
Onimusha.
But yeah, so the primary one you
That's
have
what
is
everybody
they're
plays.
carrying the house standard of the Jagar house, and then right behind it is the standard of Faldara.
I need to pee.
Oh my god.
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 Oh my
Be right
gosh.
back.
Oh my
Have I
god.
paid less than Josh in an episode? That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, let's just take
What do you
over
think,
Josh.
Shadi?
Well, I don't know because wasn't paying attention to what you just said, but I totally agree with everything you just said.
Hey, there you go. That'll get you free access to shit.
Nice.
So, do you think that that's intentional? So we see Uno here and Lord Yakota, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
Yakota have the hawk sigil on their breastplates, which is the Faldaran symbol, and then you have Lord Agomar that has the House Jagad symbol, a sigil on his breastplate, and then in the cavalry that we see here, the first line has the House Jagad Khan, followed immediately by Faldaran Khan.
Well, I know with the Karahinian army, right? There was always, because they're kind of all split up, right? That was very much everyone had their own Khans. In each
every
group.
house had their sigil Khan.
Yeah, and I believe, if I remember correctly, why can't I remember the name? It's because I'm drunk. Kandor did the same thing. But
another
so I think they're just kind of calling back to that, and really kind of, because Faldarans are their own people, right? And I think they're just kind of calling back to that a little bit. And also as well, that last episode was kind of a mess.
You're not wrong.
So
right, we're gonna do one more place, and then we'll save the rest for part 2.
Uno mas.
And the Uno mas is the Foregate.
The Foregate,
aka Carrion. So we don't get a lot of footage of the Foregate. We have these images here that show like towers under construction, very kind of what we consider Japanese-esque inspired rooftops mixed with very medieval style ramparts and towers.
I do love that we have the topless towers.
Yeah.
So all of that's really cool, and you can see like immediately outside the walls, everything in terms of construction quality just plummets,
which is exactly like the books.
Yeah,
it's drift type wood, it's half rotten wood, it's not good stuff, it's shaved branches. Even their one tree they have in this shot has no fucking leaves.
Yep.
It's just, you make what you can make out of what you got.
Well, the one thing I will say about it, and it's also because that's the whole point, was that it is, you got to make it to be able to film in it, obviously, but the Foregate is supposed to be packed, right? Building upon building. It's supposed to look very much like those, like you watch Chinese cinema, and like where people are living right on top of each other, buildings upon buildings upon buildings, and like our apartment buildings are like inside bathrooms kind of thing. It's supposed to be incredibly packed. That's exactly how I imagine the Foregate. Now, you can't do that in a set that you build because you have to be able to move in and out of it. They kind of were able to give that sense when Rand was chasing after the guy from the insane asylum to beat the shit out of him, right? Yeah. So it worked. This shot, but I love this shot, how it just really does has that cutoff of rich versus poor.
Well, and it's a stark contrast from Andor as well, from Camelin, because in Camelin you've got the new town and the old town, and new town is still 400 or 500 years old, but even the new town is stone structures with solid roofs, which Carrion was here's the wall, everything outside the wall, fuck off, we don't care.
Well, that's the thing, Camelin never allowed the encampments outside, and a big part of why the Foregate exists is the Aiel War.
Yeah.
When the Aiel crossed the spine of the world, the Dragon Wall, and sought Layman's literal fucking head for chopping down the one really super nice, super rare gift they gave him, and he was like, I'm gonna make a chair. I'm gonna rub my butt cheeks on it. Fair enough. Yeah, talking
Which
about
I have a theory about.
areas, it makes me think of a third age version of the stacks from Ready Player One.
Yeah.
Where it was just camper on top of camper.
Yep, exactly.
That's exactly how I imagined it. So then we have this one. We have Celine and Rand talking at a table. Of course, Celine looking way better than ever.
Can you just zoom in for me?
I wish I could. I can't zoom in on the slides. Hold on. I can screen share it and zoom in. Hold on. Let's see. Present, share screen, application window. This one, share.
I was talking about Rand. Sorry.
Oh.
I'm sorry. But for everybody who was all like, Natasha isn't what my idea of land fear was, fuck you. Just fuck you.
That is exactly
holy
also,
shit.
You know what I just noticed? The fucking sign for her.
Right.
For
stars
her
and moon.
Is the moon eating the sun. Because that's the same kind of sun that the White Cloaks use.
Uh-huh.
It's almost like the moon is eating or conquering the sun. The night or shadow is conquering the light.
Right.
Bruh. But also, look at how he matches his blue with her blue. I mean, it's not as brilliant, but it's you've seen the first XXX movie, right? With Vin Diesel. Why is he matching her clothes like that? Why is he looking at her like that? He is in love with her.
Damn straight. Why wouldn't you be? I'd turn to the dark. I'd do it.
Girl, I turn to the shadow and immediately
in a heartbeat. You touched my wrist once. Oh, I'm done. I'm done. I swear myself to any oath.
I swear to serve that ass until the end of time.
Uh-huh.
But
creator who?
I mean, even turned down for
light
what?
Save me from what?
Turned down for what?
I'll swear to the shadow if we can look like that in the morning. That was inappropriate. that was inappropriate.
Wow, Andrew.
Wow, Andrew.
Look, even the cut out here kind of looks a little like a dragon.
I think sometimes you see what you want to see, Andrew.
That's true. It's true.
Well, that'd be what it is. And then her here again, much less happy to be around the Foregate.
Whatever. That scene, she was totally happy doing that. I'm sorry.
She was in her element.
Oh, she was happy to be doing the destruction, but she wasn't happy to be in the Foregate. She was a little upset.
It's true. It's true. Upsetty spaghetti.
Not quite as upsetty spaghetti as who is Avienda, but still quite upsetty spaghetti.
Look at those shoulder pads,
All right,
though.
Bruce Wayne, calm down. But
Where is she? Where are the other
so
drugs
I think they did
going?
a good job in capturing the four gate culture, because the four gate has a distinct culture separate from the rest of Kyrian, because it is the slums of Kyrian. Everything, as soon as you cross that first gate into actual Kyrian, the property value skyrockets. Everybody acts hoity. They think they're better than everybody else because they live in stark contrast to abject poverty. Like the four gate is abject poverty.
Yeah.
It is, we've made our own system that works for us here, and we have enough people that wound up working in the city doing the shitty jobs, but they wound up learning enough information to make us useful. And the four gate continues to exist as a force to be reckoned with, because they wind up becoming skilled in Deus Damar. They wind up becoming skilled in the game of houses, because if they don't, they die. Whereas like the nobility, they lose some points or whatever. But
Yeah.
The four gate's pretty unique. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's not the first place I thought we would come across Lanfear. I mean, Celine, but I think it's pretty cool that we did.
This is one of those things that I think the show did better than the books.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest.
I think so too.
Because Rand magically appearing and waking up one morning in a different world and just happening to find Celine, who just happens to know that he can get them back from the portal. Like, there's just too much there that as a reader, you just have to go, okay, Rand is stupid. He's dumb.
Yeah.
He's stupid. That's the only reason. Yeah. Nobody would care about the lady Celine, and nobody would not ask a question. How did you end up here? And then question it going, wait a minute.
Well, I think he did. He asked her, how'd you
No, he did.
She's like, I don't know.
And she said the same thing.
Against this stone and just wound up here.
She's like, I just magically woke up here.
I don't know.
I don't know how I got here, Rand.
But then
how
she comes forward and she's all like, but you have to use the power to get out of here. And he's like, are you always to die? She's like,
yeah. I'm just a studier of old tones.
Old ways. Give me your tongue.
It's not her fault.
Wait, what?
It's Martin Weapon's fault. That's what we
I got a tongue you can study. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, no, I feel like it was much more relatable to have her just be someone, not necessarily someone of prominence, right? She was not someone of prominence. She was someone in the Foregate who was just existing. She was high enough to attract his attention.
Of the Foregate.
Yeah. She was high enough to attract his attention, but not too high to attract any sort of suspicion. And I think that was navigated so much better in the show than it was in the books.
I mean, and they did it because look at Lanfear or Celine compared to everybody else. She doesn't have skin that has been tanned by working outside, so she doesn't have to do hard labor. She is clean, so she doesn't have to do hard labor. Like, she is her own version of royalty in the slums.
Yep.
I mean, she even afford
but
gold
also
paint and bukkake
goes in and out of.
Yeah. And she knows how to get a hold of a Gildan in red.
Gildan in red.
Yeah.
And we're not going to.
She does.
Wasted in season 2.
Whoops. I definitely meant to remove the slideshow that you can.
Totally.
Totes.
We understand. We understand.
So we are pausing after the Foregate on this one. There's much more to go through. I think we made it through slide 20 out of 49.
Maybe we'll go through the rest of this Overgathering Madness. You never know.
I don't know. I think season 2 ended with the culture. Pretty much that's it. There wasn't any more culture. I think that was pretty much. It was pretty boring and flat. The rest of the season 2, I don't think there was any other culture.
There were 4 more cultures or organizations to go with after the Foregate that I had on the slides. But we'll save that for
fake
later.
News.
Very sad.
Look, okay, it was the greatest remaining 4 cultures of the world, right? Nobody Nobody saves greater cultures to the last than me.
Large, very wealthy
Fantastic.
cultures.
Freaking
It takes
huge.
Not
Takes up-
like
takes up-
cultures.
A third of the world.
not like the Foregate.
I like the
It's a
forget it all.
shithole country.
Shithole.
Does
They
it's
looked at me and they
very
said,
bad.
They have the worst,
Hey, Andrew,
worst people. They send
how-
the worst
How
people.
does
Worst
the Bajan
people.
Worst
Mahale,
people.
how does the Bajan Mahale accrue so many photos of so many cultures? And I said, I'm just better. Other people beg
Understand.
for pictures.
Understand.
They cry like dogs. They cry like a dog.
I'm
asking
just
for
saying,
pictures of
I'm
the
just saying.
Foregate.
The Bajan Mahale and the Soroban Mahale. I've met them. They're great. But
That's not necessarily an endorsement. I
They
think.
said I'm the greatest person.
but understand. Never mind. I was gonna go somewhere, but I'm not gonna.
Yep. All right.
Well, on that
Hey,
note,
Hey,
Thanks
On
for
that
tuning in to Black Tower
On that
Podcast.
fucking note.
Totally
what did I
not
get blamed for? Hold on.
offensive
Why did I get fully
version
blamed for it? I'm the only one that called it. What?
exploring cultures within the TV series of the Wheel of Time. And look, as Josh, the Soroban Mahale, you can take this to heart. You know that when I say this, it's true. Hear me and know it for truth. If you didn't like the show, guess what? You still got the books.
Yep.
Guess what? If you like the show, I support the fuck out of you 100%. Because guess what? Nobody has a right to tell you what you love or don't love or should not love. So you do you, enjoy it, and know that the Black Tower stands behind you 100%.
The Black Tower stands fully erect behind you, beside you. But thank you all so much again
Inside
for
you?
all the Gather Madness stuff. Head over to blacktowerpod.com and click the Gathering Madness button, or just do blacktowerpod.com/TGM.
it's like a docking kind of love.
We'll be there. You should be there. If you want to be there virtually,
Towers
you
of
can. You
Control.
have until the close of day on the 20th of October Eastern time to get a virtual ticket for $15, and you'll get access to some content that will be exclusive for roughly at least a year at the minimum. So we look forward to seeing you there. We're super stoked. From all of us here at the Black Tower Podcast, I have been Andrew, your Bajan Mahale, who puts together slideshows the day of.
I have been your Soroban Mahale, Josh, who is back on the juice, baby.
Yeah, baby. And I have been special guest Morshadi, fact checker Mahale. We just dropped a new episode about war crimes in the Wheel of Time on the Delving the Chronicles podcast, available everywhere. Not microtransaction like the Black Tower podcast. Just
Oh, shit.
Free available on
Yeah.
all
Got to
podcast
graduate to that
platforms.
level.
That's true. You have to
I
graduate.
was just going to say, because they're not famous
Wait.
enough yet.
Wait until you get
Wow.
into your 6th year, Sonny, and see how many microtransactions
Hey,
you
man, yeah.
have.